By the end of 2024, over 500,000 deepfake videos were circulating across the internet, and experts estimate that number doubles every 6 months. That means right now, as you watch this video, thousands of synthetic faces are moving, speaking, and convincing people of things that never happened. The terrifying part is not just how realistic they look. It is how ordinary they have become. In the next 10 minutes, you are going to understand exactly how deepfakes are built from the ground up, why they have become one of the most dangerous technologies of our time, and the one thing about deepfake detection that the major tech platforms have been quietly avoiding. We will cover real cases where synthetic media destroyed lives, altered elections, and enabled billion-dollar fraud. And we will walk you through what you can actually do when you encounter one. Deepfakes did not appear overnight. The technology has roots stretching back decades into the field of computer graphics and machine learning. Early digital face replacement was expensive, time-consuming, and required Hollywood-level resources. Studios spent millions of dollars to digitally recreate actors for scenes. What changed everything was a single Reddit user who went by the handle Deepfakes in 2017. This user used freely available machine learning tools to swap celebrity faces onto existing video content and posted the results publicly. Within weeks, the technique spread. Researchers, hobbyists, and bad actors all took notice simultaneously. The foundational technology behind this is called a Generative Adversarial Network, or GAN. Introduced by researcher Ian Goodfellow in 2014, a GAN works by pitting two neural networks against each other. The first network, called the generator, creates synthetic content. The second network, called the discriminator, tries to detect whether that content is real or fake. Over thousands or millions of training cycles, the generator gets better and better at fooling the discriminator. The result is media that a human eye genuinely struggles to distinguish from authentic footage. To create a deepfake of a specific person, the system needs training data, typically hundreds or thousands of images or video frames of that person's face. The algorithm maps facial landmarks, the distance between the eyes, the curve of the jaw, the way the mouth moves when forming specific sounds. Once trained, the model can transplant those learned facial patterns onto a different body in real time. Modern tools have reduced the required training data dramatically. Some systems can now produce convincing results with as few as 30 to 50 photographs. But here is what nobody talks about. The most dangerous deepfakes today are not visual at all. Voice cloning technology has advanced to the point where a realistic synthetic voice can be generated from just 3 seconds of real audio. Companies like 11 Labs and others have made this capability publicly accessible. That means a short voicemail, a clip from a conference call, or even a few seconds captured from a public video is now enough raw material to produce a cloned voice that can say anything. In 2019, criminals used AI-generated voice cloning to impersonate the CEO of a UK-based energy company. They called the company's subsidiary and instructed the executive on the line to transfer approximately $243,000 to a Hungarian bank account. The executive complied, believing entirely that he was speaking with his legitimate superior. That was 5 years ago. The technology has improved dramatically since then. The fraud use case alone represents billions in potential damage. The FBI reported that business email compromise and related fraud schemes cost U.S. businesses over $2.9 billion in 2023. Deepfake audio and video are increasingly being incorporated into these schemes, making them harder to detect and more persuasive than ever. The political implications of deepfakes deserve their own serious examination. In January 2024, voters in New Hampshire received robocalls featuring what appeared to be the voice of President Joe Biden instructing them not to vote in the primary election. Investigators traced the audio to an AI voice cloning tool. The incident demonstrated something genuinely alarming, that synthetic media can now be deployed at scale against democratic processes with minimal technical expertise and minimal cost. Similar incidents have emerged globally. In Slovakia, just days before a parliamentary election in 2023, an audio recording circulated on social media appearing to show a candidate discussing plans to rig the election. Fact-checkers identified it as a likely deepfake, but the timing made a retraction nearly impossible to spread as widely as the original fabrication. This is the asymmetry problem. A deepfake can travel around the world before the truth has time to load. Researchers at MIT Media Lab have studied how misinformation spreads and found that false information spreads 6 times faster than accurate corrections on social media platforms. Combine that behavioral pattern with the production capabilities of modern deepfake tools and you have a structural vulnerability in the information ecosystem that no current platform policy adequately addresses. The personal harm dimension is equally devastating. 96% of deepfake content online is non-consensual intimate imagery. Real people, predominantly women, have had their faces placed into explicit content without their knowledge or consent. The psychological damage to victims is severe and well documented. In the United Kingdom, legislation was updated in 2024 to criminalize the creation of such content, not just its distribution. In the United States, federal legislation has remained fragmented, with most protections existing only at the state level. Detection technology has tried to keep pace but consistently lags behind generation technology. Current detection systems look for artifacts that GANs leave behind: subtle inconsistencies in blinking patterns, unnatural skin texture under certain lighting conditions, or mismatches in the way shadows fall across facial features. Some systems analyze the blood flow patterns in skin using a technique called remote photoplethysmography, since synthetic faces do not replicate the subtle color shifts caused by circulation. These methods work reasonably well against today's deepfakes, but the detection gap is real and growing. Intel released a deepfake detection tool called FakeCatcher in 2022, claiming 96% accuracy. That sounds impressive until you realize that at scale, a 4% error rate means tens of thousands of pieces of synthetic media pass undetected for every million analyzed. The math does not favor defenders. Major platforms including Meta, Google, and YouTube have all published commitments to label or remove AI-generated content. But enforcement is inconsistent, automated moderation systems are imperfect, and the volume of content being uploaded every minute makes comprehensive review humanly impossible. The responsibility increasingly falls on individual users who lack the technical tools and training to make accurate judgments on their own. So what can you actually do? The first principle is verification before sharing. Before treating any video or audio as evidence of something, ask whether the source is verifiable and whether the content has been confirmed by a second independent outlet. Deepfakes thrive in information vacuums, in breaking news situations where emotion runs high and verification instincts run low. Slow down. Wait for confirmation. The second principle is looking for the seams. Deepfakes often struggle with consistent ear geometry, hairline edges, and background elements near the face. Glasses frames frequently show artifacts. When lighting changes suddenly in a video, look carefully at how the skin responds. These inconsistencies are becoming rarer, but they are still present in most AI-generated content. The third principle, and perhaps the most important, is treating audio with the same skepticism you now apply to images. Photographs have been manipulated for decades, and most people have internalized some skepticism toward images. Audio has only recently entered the deepfake threat landscape in a serious way, and our collective defenses have not caught up. A phone call, a voice message, or an audio recording is no longer inherently trustworthy. Deepfakes represent one of the most complex convergences of technology, ethics, law, and human psychology that cybersecurity has ever had to confront. They are not a future problem. They are the defining information security challenge of the current decade. The gap between what can be faked and what can be detected is widening. The legal frameworks are fragmentary. The platforms are overwhelmed. And the tools required to create convincing synthetic media are now available to anyone with a smartphone and an internet connection. The question is not whether you will encounter a deepfake. The question is whether you will recognize it when you do. Awareness is not a complete solution, but it remains the most universally accessible defense we have right now. Before you go, if you learned something new today, hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps this channel grow. Subscribe to CyberShield Daily for a new video every single day. We will see you in the next one.